G'day, Nigel Moore from the Tech Tribe here, and as you can probably tell from the accent, also from Australia. So I've stolen the microphone from my good friend Richard Tubb and taken over the beginning and end of his podcast to blatantly promote our Tech Tribe. But don't worry, I'm not going to bore you to death with endless details on the features of our product or the technical mumbo jumbo or how long I've been in the industry or blah, blah, blah. Instead, I'll offer you a quick bribe. If you hang around until the end of the episode, which knowing Richard is no doubt going to be a cracker, then I'll let you know some stuff about our tribe and I'll give you some details on a special Tub Talk only deal complete with steak knives. Well, maybe not the snake knives, but for now, enjoy the heck out of the episode and I'll be back at the end.
You're listening to Tub Talk, the podcast for IT business owners. Now, the usual voice of Tub Talk, Jeff Nicholson, is on assignment, so I'm doing my own intro for this episode. Double the tub, double the fun, I guess. This podcast is all about helping you grow your IT business. This specific episode was recorded live at DattoCon 18 in Barcelona, where I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with Matt Richards, Pete Jaworski, and Adam Stewart of Datto. You'll hear about why MSPs aren't great at marketing and how Datto helps them with that, what the new REST API is and what that means for business, and why releasing smaller, more focused updates more frequently allows Datto to support their customers better. So now, without further ado, here I am talking with Matt, Pete, and Adam from Datto.
Matt Richards, welcome to Tub Talk.
It's wonderful to be here.
Cool. So we're here in Barcelona at DattoCon, and you're the Chief Marketing Officer of Datto. What does that mean, and what do you do on a typical day-to-day basis?
Well, it's never the same day twice. I think that's what makes it so much fun. So marketing at Datto is broken out across a bunch of functions, so it's good to just think about the functional areas that help us out. So demand gen is one of those areas that we're responsible for. So at Datto, 50 to 85% of our leads that our sales team handles come through marketing. Marketing usually first touch, and the rest, and then we might nurture them along the way. But they were sourced in marketing. So that's one whole section, content and demand generation of it. We have, of course, an in-house creative team. You've seen the DattoCon Barcelona signage. All of that is the result of a great team we have there on the creative services side. Partner marketing, which is interesting since we're a channel company. All of our marketing in a way targets partners, but we think about our MSPs and what would they need to be successful in marketing. And that's a lot of what our partner marketing organization focuses on, is helping them with enabling and selling to their customers. So there's that team. Communications, clearly, as I look around the room. And then we also have product marketing team that helps out with products, all the positioning, messaging, what I like to call the core product marketing deliverables, are things like positioning, messaging, all the collateral and everything you read and see about what we do. So those are generally the key areas in marketing.
So Datto are one of, if not the biggest managed service provider vendor in the world. So you get access, you get an insight to tons and tons of MSPs around the world, hundreds and thousands of them. Marketing, I would say, from my experience, is the number one issues that MSPs struggle with. I guess up front, you're smiling at the moment, but would you agree with that statement or not?
I would. I would point to research we've done, but that's somewhat self-serving. But yes, our research shows that, but also research that's done in the channel in general. Like the number one problem folks have in growing a managed services business is sales and marketing. Some combination of the two, and it all starts at that lead gen. How do I find the next customer, and flows through from there of how do I close them, how do I nurture them, how do I expand the business with them, all of those things. But that's 100% the first problem everybody has.
So why is it that MSPs, I'm not going to say struggle with marketing, I'm going to call it as it is. Why are MSPs rubbish with marketing?
I would say, of course, like everything, there's a bell curve. So there are folks that are quite good, and then those that aren't. I think the first symptom of the challenge with marketing is whether or not you have a full-time marketing person. Like generally, if you're trying to do everything and you're small and run the business, it's tough to find the time between trying to close that customer you met last week, between trying to solve problems for your customer tickets, trying to solve issues, trying to heal a relationship perhaps you had a challenge with, work with vendors. Where are you going to find the time then to build a blog or inbound marketing content or create the next event? Like you So the smaller folks tend to have more of the challenge in creating the bandwidth themselves to handle it. And as you get larger and MSPs grow, they tend to evolve into having sales people first, and then they might add a marketing person to help make those salespeople more efficient. And generally, that's the order. So when you say they're rubbish, it's not. It's very much a generalization. Sometimes that's very true, and it's generally just the maturity curve. Where are they in the journey as an MSP, and how have they managed to fill their pipe already?
Yeah.
Some folks have filled their pipe with absolutely no marketing, and then one day, for whatever reason, that pipe stops and they realize they're really bad at marketing. And that's when I really like to talk to them. How can we help?
Yeah. As they say about the old phrase, marketing is a process, not an event.
Correct.
Yeah. So how do you help them? How do Datto help their MSP partners get better at marketing?
So there's a number of different ways. We provide content. So the first and easiest way is to take a look at the content, the white label content, and say, I need some form of inbound campaign, right? So let's just say you're an MSP and you want to attract new leads. You need an inbound campaign. Here's a little kit. Here's some content you can put on your website with a landing page and a little form. Send out a social post and inbound, right? So folks will link through and they'll fill out the little form, get their PDF, and that's a form of inbound marketing for you that you're pushing out through your social channels. And that's easy. We have it the way it's all there. I think the biggest challenge there is our partners don't necessarily know it's there.
Yeah.
So that's one way we help. We also, from a systems perspective, I was just doing an informal survey a moment ago with MSPs in the room. How many of you have marketing automation software? Sort of 2 people raise their hand. A room of 60.
Wow.
So not a lot. How many people know what it is, which is the next question. But we provide a marketing automation platform for folks who don't have one. So in there goes your leads, your email, the addresses and names and contact information. In there is pre-created campaigns that we create that you can white label. Again, you're playing my MSP today. And you can go in and you can create trickle campaigns, social campaigns, right? And run campaigns through there and help it manage this process of nurturing and creating leads from unknown contacts from an event or maybe a Google AdWord campaign or something like that. So that's another way we provide systems.
And what's that product?
We call it Market Now.
Market
Now
yeah.
is what we call it. And we've recently integrated the Datto Autotask systems into Market Now. So and released it as a single Market Now platform.
So when you say integrated, that means you've got the marketing going on and then they drop into Autotask from there.
When I say integrated, I mean in this case that the Autotask partner program, the Datto partner program merged, and we brought the 2 separate platforms together into one. And interestingly enough, we were on the same back-end system. We just called it different things. So it was a matter of migrating data and bringing the systems together. But that's another way, like really active systems. Our partner program is probably the umbrella to think about all of this in. So in the partner program, we have tiers, and different tiers have different benefits. Everything from market development funds to NFR devices to sales enablement training to training on the Market Now platform to the actual platform itself to the content you need. You could go ahead and be pretty effective with the elements we provide you in developing content. And then around that is this whole MSP Easy or MSPZ series. Sometimes it works in locally, but the MSPZ series is MSPs talking to MSPs about how to do these things. Lead generation made MSPZ, sales made MSPZ. So also just connecting the dots from MSPs who've done it and explaining it to MSPs that haven't.
Yeah.
That's a good way to wrap up our partner program overall.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think I know what the answer is to this, but I'm going to throw this one out there. So if I was to say to you, if you could wave a magic wand and get Datto MSP partners to understand one thing about marketing, what would it be? And the reason I think I thought I knew the answer to that was perhaps it was Market Now that, they're not aware of that, because that sounds like a fantastic resource.
It is a great resource. And I think, again, it's a maturity curve, and some folks have nothing, and others are out there with HubSpot and other marketing automation platforms. Yes, I would say if you could understand one thing about what Datto does, it would be the resources that Datto provides you. Number 2 question I had while I was researching what to do in my discussion today, or just earlier today, with marketing for MSPs, tips and tricks. The number 2 question was, what resources do you have? Because 1, we're growing. Two, we have the Autotask partner base and the Datto partner base coming together. So there's inconsistent level of knowledge. So the magic wand would be here's the breadth and depth of the marketing elements that you have at your fingertips, right? And that includes market now, but I think it's much greater than that too. It's the various programs. It's the MDF funds, it's the NFR devices, it's the partner referral program. I mean, there's just all of this there that folks don't know about.
So we're going to need a pretty big magic wand.
We do, yes, or two.
We'll get onto that, yeah. Let's talk about Datto's own marketing efforts, and specifically a fairly age-old challenge of marketing. How do you balance reaching IT businesses, letting them know about Datto's products and services solutions without overstepping the mark and annoying people? And I guess that's a question for you, Matt, as a marketeer, your career as well. How do you balance that?
Oof. How to make sure people know about you without being annoying.
Yeah.
Well, everything is a bell curve, so you're going to annoy some people, but hopefully just the outliers. It is a matter of creating content that people are interested in that is not about selling to them. Right? Would you want me to call you and try to sell you a car? No. But if you're looking for a car, right, you want to know where to go to find out about it. It's not that different from selling to a consumer than selling to anybody. People don't like being sold to. They like improving them, learning, understanding, seeking knowledge, right? And so our job, our role, our goal, and a lot of what we do for data marketing is creating inbound content, interesting content that folks want to hear about, because then it's not an intrusion. Right? Oh, a seminar on the latest ransomware results. Oh, I wonder how many people were infected, but that's interesting. Let's get that. And that kind of content, outbound or inbound, however you make somebody aware of it, is not so annoying as the constant, gosh, wouldn't you like to buy RMM? Is your business going to pieces? Would you like to buy RMM? So I think marketing done well seeks to educate early. And then, of course, once you understand, and then you understand the problem, and then you work your way through the buying decisions that get you to becoming a partner, then you need to get more specific. But that early stage general awareness, that's about educating more than anything.
Yeah. And I think probably too many companies jump straight into the, hey, let's get married sort of thing. Let's go straight in there without doing any of the dating and the educating and everything else.
Exactly. And I got some direct mail piece the other day, and I'd see these things and I look, and it actually was almost offensive what was said. It was meant to catch my attention, but it was borderline offensive as a homeowner. Like, it's like, there's no way I'm going to go find out more about you. You're trying to sell me something by making me feel dumb. Like, I get it, it'll catch my eye, but it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had sent me something instead on home improvements made easy, I would have been happy as a homeowner to understand more about how to fix the sink. Like, that's stuff I read. So it's also about knowing your target audience.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, you're a marketeer, but I also know you enjoy tech.
Oh, yeah. I'm a nerd. I'm sorry. That's right. Self-proclaimed, yeah.
You and me both. What new tech has come along that really excites you? And it can be marketing tech, it can be general tech. What's really caught your eye lately?
Okay, so if I think about it as applied to marketing, and where we are in the stage, if you think about having Autotask as a business and Datto as a business and merging systems, we have data like all over the place. But is it clean? Can we gather the insights we want? Yes, of course, we're working on it. But I look at a lot of the up and coming marketing, AI or machine learning based mechanisms for identifying trends, identifying information, helping me understand, back to the point I made a moment ago about understanding your customer.
Yeah.
Helping me understand you better and thus be able to get you something that's better targeted. That's exciting to me. And so we start to see some of those platforms, whether it's the website being tailored to you, or even further taking a look inside Salesforce or your CRM system and helping you understand this customer is a customer that's likely going to grow and be huge. This customer is a customer that, based on all we know and what's going on with support tickets, we need to revitalize because things are a little shaky. To me, that gives me the insights I need to take action programmatically, not one-on-one, but programmatically, to help the business move forward and to help keep our MSPs happy. And that technology is interesting to me. Without a doubt, that's sort of the most applicable. On the flip side, I start looking at IoT, and it's when we stop calling it IoT that it'll be really interesting. I have no idea what's next. We surveyed our MSPs, and they don't either. And we have so many MSPs that respond, and some of them are doing some IoT work, but it's more on the idea of sensors, thermostats, lights. It's not yet clear what's going to happen here. And so it's one of those spaces where someone's going to come up with that use case where everyone snaps their fingers and said, yes, okay, finally. And they're going to stop calling it IoT. And then we'll see that adoption.
Then it becomes popular.
Yeah, those are two spots for me that I think.
Yeah, and the point you were saying about the websites being tailored to the visitor, I think going forward, and we're seeing some of this in Autotask as a platform as well, where it's tailored to the person who's using it. So if you're a HR person, you don't want to know about the service desk, and if you're a service desk, you don't want to know about finance. So I think it's just around the corner, isn't it, about the websites that will be tailored to the visitor.
And all of this in the context of GDPR, right, and recognizing that customer data and privacy rules are paramount, of course, but thinking about we met you at a show, put your card in the system because you said, yeah, okay, I'd like to know more. And then I can find out that you came to the website. We were at the show talking about RMM, come to the website, start looking at BCDR, attend a few webinars, see you at DattoCon, you attend a session at DattoCon about, I can profile how you move through that process. And then instead of annoying you broadly, I can pop some information in your direction just for you when you're at the website next.
Yeah.
And that's a pull. You came to my website, so I showed you something you wanted. That's not being sold to. That's helping me find what I want. That's, I think, the opportunity.
Yeah.
If only we could figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Tech can't come soon enough. Yeah. What about on a personal level? What's a gadget or something you've picked up recently that you've really enjoyed?
Let's see. What have I done lately? Honestly, I've been starting to work with my daughters on Arduino.
Yes.
And we put together, so I got my radio control connected to the Arduino board, and so the inputs are in, and now I'm working with my 12-year-old on creating the chassis of the robot. And I've just been having a lot of fun. It's all kind of it's not that different, just different languages. But for her, it's an exploration. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds brilliant.
Up and coming engineer, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And it's just something to do. We have fun.
Oh, that's cool. I'll send you a link to SmartyBot, which is a bot that you can build. You can use a potato to build it. You add wheels to it and stuff, a little bit like Mr. Potato Head when we were kids. But, moves around and talks and stuff.
Darth Tater is mine, but
there you go. And you can control it from your smartphone. So very cool. I'll send you a link to that.
Please, because those are, I think what you're exposed to and what you learn to enjoy, I think that it almost doesn't matter the subject. It's the joy of exploring, right? The joy of figuring a problem out, regardless of what it is. And this is just a means. And as a gearhead, I always levitate towards the tech. So anything you have would be appreciated.
Well, I think we could talk all day about the tech, can't we? Oh, yeah. We'd probably better draw a line under it there.
Rats.
Matt, thanks for your time today.
Absolutely.
Cheers, Pete, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, I really appreciate it. So there was a big announcement this morning to do with the REST API during the keynote presentation. So I tweeted it out, said, I think this is a good thing for the industry. And I had a response, 50% of people saying, yeah, this is really exciting news. And another 50% responding saying, what's a REST API? Right. So for the uninitiated, what is the REST API and why is it a big deal?
Yeah, so the REST API is a new method of integration that we have with Datto. We used to have what's called an XML feed, which is kind of raw data that just gets exposed to partners and vendors. And they kind of, we say good luck and kind of build an integration with Datto. And most of that information is, device information, backup status information, alerts, things like that. So we got to a point where it's not scalable. So it's not reliable, frankly. So we decided to build this new REST API that has specific endpoints that are very specific. It's granular. You can actually say, I want information about this specific device with this type of agent. And we expose that to partners and vendors. So what's unique about this, and Austin McCord, our CEO, mentioned this several times, is we want to create this open ecosystem, this open access community where developers, vendors, partners can all interact with our Datto devices and kind of build their own platforms. We have many tools on our side, and some of it's good, some of it's bad, and it's inevitable that these partners are purchasing these third-party applications like BrightGauge, IT Glue, just to name a few. So they're using these platforms, and we just need to align ourselves with that usage and provide them this type of data.
What does it look like in practical terms? So I can see the benefits. So how does it actually work?
Yeah, so it works. You have to be tech savvy, I'd say. You need to understand how to build an API or build an integration using API. So you have to understand coding, I would say. So a lot of these partners, some, not most, actually do have that technical background, so they can actually incorporate those endpoints into code and actually build unique dashboards. A lot of these vendors, I mean, that's the whole premise of their business, is to build an integration with many different devices. So and many different companies. So they do use these endpoints to actually make those device calls.
Now, I was chatting to Adam Stewart, VP of Product, a little bit earlier, and of course, Adam's been with the company, with Autotask previous to Datto, 13 years plus.
Yep.
So he was saying, the suite has grown, and there's so many different roles. There's presumably a ton of different APIs and lots of other stuff.
There's quite a few. Yeah.
Is this part of sort of a bigger program to try and streamline things and make things simpler?
I think so. I think learning from a release today and just integrations and APIs in general. So we're moving into a path where we want to make this a better user experience for partners and vendors. So the way to do that, we do, like you mentioned, we have several different APIs available there. Autotask has several, Datto Legacy has several. I think the vision is making this a better user experience and incorporating all those APIs into one and just say, hey, we have this Datto API. Any vendor partner, feel free, integrate with us. We give these partners the choice. Technically they can choose any type of platform, and this method is the way to do that. So we want to make that more streamlined and efficient as possible. And I think this long-term path to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, a lot of the listeners to this podcast are going to be technical in nature. Yeah. I'm a geek. I'm getting excited about the options here. From your perspective as a technical person, as a technician, what are you most excited about with this announcement and with the future of the REST APIs?
Yeah, it just opens up several doors. There's a ton of opportunities. I started getting a ton of feedback from partners and vendors. You should do this, you should do that. I think it just leaves so much opportunity that gets me excited. And this is just our first version, right? Like there's so many things that we can do. And good thing about Datto, we release very frequently. So you'll start to see a lot more changes coming soon. But for now, we actually just expose read calls, or get calls. I'm sorry. So we just expose that data for you to read and just see what's available from that specific device. Eventually, we may go to actually configuring certain things from the REST API. So we kind of move and we shift towards other third-party platforms becoming that source of truth, right? Where they spend most of their time are on these different platforms like Autotask PSA, ConnectWise, right? That becomes a source of truth, and we want to give them that capability. So eventually, we start to iterate and we start to improve on the REST API. It's going to get towards that direction too.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, look, Pete, I know you're a man in demand today after that announcement, so thanks so much for spending the time explaining what the REST API is, and perhaps more people can get excited about it now.
No problem.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. Yep.
Adam, welcome to Tub Talk.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's good to catch up with you again. We are here in Barcelona at DattoCon. Now, your job title is Senior Vice President of Engineering at Datto, right?
Yes.
What does a typical day look like for you?
Well, in my role, my area of responsibility is really product and engineering and infrastructure for all of the legacy Autotask products. So a typical day for me is first and foremost ensuring availability for our customers, uptime, so that the software that we work so hard to produce is accessible by them. And then it's working on the roadmap, managing projects that are in flight, and then all of the other administrative kinds of things that deal with HR and policy and process and things like that, as well as working with the rest of the executive team on long-term strategy and short-term tactical stuff. So it's a full day.
Yes, it's a very full day. Now, I want to touch immediately on something you mentioned there, and that's the aspect of hosting. Now, I know you were with Autotask for 13 years?
13 years, that's right.
Yeah, so you know a little bit about SaaS products and hosted products here, don't you? So,
I do.
So Datto serving MSPs in multiple countries and multiple time zones, and customers who really at this stage have got a high expectation of really high uptime and perhaps even no downtime, I'd go as far to say that. Plus, they store all their data in this secure environment. You've got a lot of responsibilities there. So how the heck do you provide all of those things in the background?
Well, I take those responsibilities very seriously. And I educate our sales force about how important it is. And we're not really just mission critical, we're real-time mission critical. So I'll talk about something like invoicing is mission critical. If you can't invoice, you can't get paid, and that's bad for business. But if you can't invoice for 4 hours, you don't even notice. It's fine. But if your PSA system or your RMM system is down for 4 hours, now you're not getting alerts and you're not knowing what your technicians are doing and they're not entering time, and your business is literally grinding to a halt. So we take that responsibility very personally at Autotask. And some of the things we do are to make sure that first, within all of our data centers, every layer within that data center is redundant, right? And it starts with something as simple as power. So any main component has dual power supplies. And each of those power supplies are fed by separate circuits that go to separate breakers on the board. And that board is backed up with a UPS. And that UPS is backed up with a diesel generator. That diesel generator has at least a week's worth of fuel stored on site, and it's tested at least once a week. And that's just power. So we do that with every tier of our data center. And then we do offsite backups, and we make sure, just every contingency is there to prevent any sort of failure. But we're really smart engineers, and we know that even NASA doesn't get it right from time to time. So the other thing that we do is to ensure that we have really good protocols in place for when something goes wrong. We have exceptional redundant alerting in place on every layer of our system, everywhere you can imagine. And then when something goes wrong, we snap into action, and we have communication protocols. So we'll set up a IM channel if it's in the middle of the night, or we'll just gather in one place in the office if it's in the middle of the day. And if we're communicating back and forth, we use air traffic control protocols where you repeat what you say, and before you make a change, you repeat it. Somebody else has to okay it, things like that. So we have ITIL change management in place. We do all the things that you would expect to ensure that things don't go wrong, and when they go wrong, we minimize the duration of any sort of interruption.
Yeah. Do you get out to the data centers yourself?
I've visited each of them to sniff them around. And my main job at the data center, and I do the same thing for acquisition targets, the first thing I look at is the cabling. Because if the cabling's straight, I know like the rest of the data center is straight. And if the cabling's just a big rat's nest, I know something's gone horribly wrong here and we got to sort it out. Yeah. And for our data centers, everything is straight. It's labeled, it's redundant. It's beautiful. It's like a textbook picture of what it should be like.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. So there's a few of us in the industry, and we talk about what a beautiful comms rack or a beautiful data center looks like.
It's reflective of the team.
Yeah, it is. We've started referring to it as a data center porn, because it's like it's
pretty accurate.
It's like but it's true, isn't it? Because you can look at things and say, actually, if they don't look after their comms cabinet or they don't look after their data center, where else are they not doing things as good as they should do?
Yeah, and I had an early mentor, Jim McCarthy, was the first product manager for the first version of Visual C++ for Microsoft.
Wow. Okay.
He lives in a beautiful home, but he's an old friend and he's a great mentor. And one of the things that he said was that a product is a perfect reflection of the dynamics of the team that built it. So if you have a team that's sort of broken and there's egos and different agendas, your product is going to reflect that. It's going to be inconsistent and horrible. But if your team is highly aligned, your product is going to be highly aligned. So if I see a data center that looks perfect, I know that the team that built it is really working well together and firing on all cylinders.
I love it. Absolutely agree with it as well. Now, you also look after development of new product features. Would that be right?
Yes, I do.
I guess my question here would be, obviously, we've talked about the complexity of the products, but there's also a desire, isn't there, for cutting edge technology to move things along as quickly as possible. How do you balance getting out new features out of the door as quickly as possible without compromising the quality of those releases?
We've actually just started addressing that struggle more now because with the merger, I met with Austin and we both came sort of to the immediate conclusion that we wanted to do quicker, smaller releases. We had been releasing at a cadence of like 1 to 2 releases per year, about every 9 to 12 months. But big software projects like that run into problems. They tend to be a bit unpredictable because you can't hold it all in your head, so to speak. And when they're unpredictable, they're late, and then the scope can creep because the market changes, and then they get later, and it's a problem. So we wanted to do smaller releases because we'd have better quality, better predictability there. And so we released our last big one, which was 2018.1 in June. Then we released 2018.2 in September. 2018.3 will start deploying to English-speaking customers in December, and we'll finish in January. So you're
roughly about a 3-month sort of cadence for it.
Our goal is like 3 to 4 major releases per year. It's not, and as I said, quality is our biggest priority. Predictability second. And what that means is that if we catch something and it's not performing well, if there are bugs, we'll hold it up. We won't ship it till it's right. But your question was about, balancing innovation with...
So I guess as a former MSP myself, I think one of the biggest issues that we have with vendors, and I'm not pointing any fingers here, but it's like, we definitely need this new feature, and why hasn't the product already got this feature and things like that. So I guess from your perspective, how do you balance that desire to constantly be moving forward, because everybody's feature request is the top priority to them?
Sure.
Yes. How do you balance that with making sure it comes out the door without being bug riddled?
So there's 2 things that we do there. Well, more than 2 things actually. You give me a lot of material. So we have the burden of product management isn't deciding on the good feature that you're going to do. It's deciding on the 1,000 other good features that you're not going to do yet. And it's picking what is the top one. Where are you going to invest next? And that's a challenge. And the way we make those decisions is really based upon customer input. So we have a really good feature request system, and we'll almost always work on the top requested feature. In 2018.2, the top requested feature at that time was this simple little thing, which was adding a start and stop time to time off requests, right? People would request a day, and that's fine. You know what day they're not coming to work, but they'd request 4 hours, and we didn't track which 4 hours they're not at the work. So, it was something we just didn't think about, but it surfaced really quickly from MSPs. And we're like, oh, we should do that. It wasn't a lot of work, but we got it done and it made sense. So we do it. So, they're a great source of it. But one of the benefits that we're getting from this faster release cadence is that we're introducing less change more frequently. And MSPs don't want to come to work in the morning dreaming that they'll have to face a steep learning curve for the tools that they use. What they want to do is just get their work done. And so if we have a whole year of change or of feature requests, we're introducing a bunch of change for them. And so by cutting that down, it's much more manageable for them. And besides that, we can sort of incrementally improve something and get their feedback and know if we're moving in the right direction or not, versus just giving them a whole new house to live in, so to speak, and now they have to find the loo.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. So it's not quite the same thing, but I'm a Google Apps user, and Google rolled out a new UI the other week for it. And I immediately freaked out. I'm like, I just want to get on with my work. I haven't got time for this. So I can totally see what you're saying about, the incremental changes, sort of ease it in rather than a whole big thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So we talked earlier on about the fact that you were previously with Autotask for 13 years.
Yes.
Was it in your previous role? Obviously, we've gone through the merger, the acquisition, Datto. How are you finding life at Datto, and how does it compare to life at Autotask previously?
Oh, it's been great at Datto, really. It's They're a really great company, and also they're the market leader by any means. And I've just really been enjoying working with a market leader. We have a much larger breadth of products, and we've already done a really strong and powerful integration with the backup product line and Autotask PSA, both with PSA and actually in the RMM group as well. So the customers of ours that choose to use multiple of the Datto products will have a really good experience. Like, it's very, very efficient. But at the same time, we're also staying open with the whole industry, because we don't want to force an MSP to use a solution that may not be exactly right for them. And it would be arrogant for me to think that I'm going to create the perfect solution for everyone. It's just, there's going to be outlying use cases, things like that. So we have to be open, because we want to provide the best solution for the MSP, and it's up to them what that is. And we want to win on our merits, not by, dragging them, forcing them to use something that may not be right.
Yeah. So I've heard other people refer to it as you want to be so dominant in the quality of the product that it becomes a no-brainer for them to use it, as opposed to you forcing them, hey, you've got to use our product to do this.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I guess as we come to the close of our time together, I know there's a lot of things that you and your team do really, really well. We talked about uptime. Security is another one we've barely touched on there. I know you've got, your security first. And I think a lot of this is taken for granted by MSPs. And I don't mean that in a negative way. You just do it very, very well. What would you say is the one thing you wish MSPs knew about the work that you and your team do behind the scenes at Datto that might perhaps change their perspective of the products that they use?
So I will get, especially at conferences like this, I will get many people walking up to me with good ideas for feature requests, and they are all good ideas. But the challenge is sort of your last point is that I can't move their cheese too far. And also I need to invest in the thing that's going to help the most of our customers, right? And I can see that, for this maybe 10% of our customers, this is absolutely the most important thing for them. But if I look a couple notches down, I see something that's less important for those guys. However, it's really important for 80% of our customers. So that's what I have to do. And while I'm implementing that change, I need to make sure that I'm dealing with new customers that we haven't even signed yet to make their onboarding experience easier. And all the legacy customers that have learned how to do something one way and don't want to change that much. So it's a big balancing act for us to identify which thing that we're going to work on next, and then implement it in a way that provides the greatest benefit and the least amount of harm, so to speak, to different users. And we take that very personally. That's a big responsibility for us, because people are relying on us to provide the tools to run their business. So can't take it lightly.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you for the time today. I appreciate all the work you do, and I know I'm not alone. There's a lot of MSPs who rate the work that you do with Datto, the products that you help produce so very highly. So thank you for everything you do there. You've set the bar quite high for yourself.
Oh, thank you.
You've got to keep it going now.
Thanks for saying so.
But thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Tub Talk, the podcast for IT business owners. You can find the show notes and bonus content for this interview, along with dozens of other interviews with IT business leaders, over at www.tublog.co.uk. Now, if you enjoyed this podcast, then I'd really appreciate you rating and reviewing the show over at iTunes. It genuinely helps the show reach new listeners. Tune in for our next episode, when I speak to my latest guest for more valuable insights into the world of business and IT. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak with you next episode. Have a great day.
G'day, Nigel Moore from the Tech Tribe here again. Now, I hope you enjoyed the episode and there were some rockin' takeaways to go and implement in your business. You are going to implement them, right? Good. So I promised at the beginning of the episode to give you the super quick pitch on what the Tech Tribe is and why you should come and join us. I created the Tech Tribe because it breaks my tech geek heart when I see good people struggling to run their IT support business, especially because that used to be me. Although the good person part is quite debatable, the struggle part was very real for many years. And in a nutshell, I created the Tech Tribe to help MSPs like myself back then get access to the tools, templates, training, and resources that I wish I had when I was traveling my MSP journey. Plus, it's all backed up with a supportive community and expert coaching from not only me, but from the fearless host of this podcast, Sir Richard Tubb himself, who is one of our tribal elders. Now, instead of me babbling on more about why you should join us, I thought I'd read out 2 quick notes from some of the hundreds of MSPs already inside our tribe. First up, from Tom, great dude from the United States. He says, I've been in Nigel's tech tribe for almost a year now. Best investment I've made to date. And secondly, from Chris, one of our Aussie tribers, who says, your energy, tools, techniques, tips, and recommendations have proven invaluable. And whilst I'm not making millions yet, things are on the up and up. Please keep up the good work. So if you want to join the tribe and get access to all of the juicy goodness, simply head on over to thetechtribe.com/TubTalk and check out the super duper special deal for Tub Talk listeners only.
Hey team, this is Richard again. Just one more thing before you take off, and that is MSP Insights. Now, every Tuesday, I share my thoughts on the business of IT with you, the managed service community. Thousands of managed service providers already subscribe to MSP Insights. It's easy to sign up, easy to cancel. MSP Insights is basically a short email from me every Tuesday without fail with advice on growing your IT business, plus cool resources I've found, discovered, or started exploring that week. It's kind of like my diary of cool things, and often includes articles or books I've read, tools I've discovered, and events I think you'd be interested in, often sent to me by my friends and Tub Talk podcast guests. So if that sounds fun, a short tiny bite of MSP goodness every Tuesday, and you'd like to try it out, just go to go.tub.co/Tuesday. That's go.tub.co/Tuesday. Drop in your email and you'll get the very next one. Thanks for listening.